Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to CD 13 Mastermind session of Your Wish is Your Command. Glad that we're all back. So I'm just going to recap our last session. So on our last session, we went through CD 12 of Your Wish is Your Command. And CD 12 was all about a summary of everything and anywhere you can go and do with the material, the information, the knowledge that's been presented to you this far in the audios, and how you can be, do, and have anything and everything you desire, right? And how to engage and stay motivated in the training to essentially increase your positive wall of energy and reduce your negative wall of energy, and thus change your life, right? So in CD 13 now, Kevin actually goes through answering many various questions from members of the audience. And he gives many interesting, fascinating answers to make us aware of our emotional guidance system and the power of us and how the universe works. And this also marks the last CD of the Your Wish is Your Command CD set training, more or less. So let's begin, shall we? Okay.
Woohoo!
So going into track 1 of CD 13, the first question that was asked to Kevin Trudeau by a member of the audience was, how do you know when you're in each step of the 4 steps of learning? So first of all, what are the 4 steps of learning that the mind goes through?
Unconscious incompetence.
Yep.
Conscious incompetence.
Conscious competence.
And unconscious competence.
Yes, that's right.
Hola, ¿cuál es la primera pregunta? C13, ¿no?
Sí.
Si alguien está haciendo todo bien y no le salen las cosas.
Sí,
Creo que...
bueno, sí. Hemos ido directamente a preguntar por los 4 pasos, como para ya resumirlo.
So the next question is wealthy people like Bill Gates and the late Steve Jobs members of secret societies?
Yeah, he asks him, didn't he? He says, how do they create wealth? And he says, well, how do you not know they're not part of secret societies? You mentioned there that they're not, but you don't know if they are or not.
I assume that.
Yeah.
So in other words,
I think that's what he says, isn't it?
Yeah, so kind of in other words, it was like, yes, likely they were like in secret societies if they're that big. And the next question is, what are the 2 major benefits of being in these secret society groups?
The people you meet. Not so much the education. I think Kevin mentions that what is the pluses of going to Harvard University or going to Oxford University is that your bunkmate owns, I can't remember the company, he says, be it your friends and the people you meet. You haven't got to go through the chain, you haven't got to start at the bottom. You make 1 phone call and the deal is done, and vice versa.
Yeah, so it's the people you know.
People and knowledge, no?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the info and the knowledge that you're getting from real people that you respect and admire, and has evidence that this works. So the level of acceptance and belief goes up as well. And the associations. The next question is, why do 95% of many lottery winners, they win big and then they just lose the money very, very quickly? Not only do they lose, but sometimes they're worse off than they were before they won the lottery. So guys, what's going on there then?
Still vibrating at the same level.
Yeah, nothing's really changed inside.
Yeah. The wealth consciousness hasn't changed. And what do they do then? Why do they end up losing the money? So they've won the lottery, they use the technique, they hit the lottery.
They start feeling fear of losing it, no, or protecting it, or
lose it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Lose it.
Yeah. The fear of losing it. So these are for the people that don't know the technique. The groups and families who do know the technique won't have the drop off and just crash, right? So somebody asked in the audience to Kevin Trudeau that if you have been putting out a negative vibration out to the universe for a while, and then they want to change it by increasing their vibration to a more positive one, does the negative vibration still hang out there? And the question is, like, what was the answer Kevin gave to this question?
Yeah. I don't remember.
I lost connection. I was half hoping Asko would know. The connection went a bit dead. I didn't hear the question properly.
Okay. There was a question that was asked to Kevin about, when you put out a negative vibration to the universe, does that negative energy still hang out there?
Aquí pone el ejemplo de la emisora de radio.
Yes.
Si cambias, automáticamente cambia.
Oscar is saying that this here it says the example of the radio frequency. No, if you put one radio frequency, it instantly changes.
Right now.
Yeah. It's to do with that a nanosecond miracle can happen, that you can actually just, the moment you shift your vibration to a positive one, the moment you change it, then everything in the universe starts reversing. So it's not like, oh, it doesn't matter how much negative energy you put out to the universe. For, let's say, a week you were thinking negative, right? But the moment, that instant you start changing your vibration, you start shifting, like you said, the new radio frequency. Now you're broadcasting a new frequency of a positive one. Everything in the universe starts to reverse and change and shift to serve that new vibration. So you can change things in an instant. So it's that 10-second miracle that he touched on in the earlier CDs, or you could even say nanosecond miracle, because it happens instantaneously, because there's no such thing as time and space in the quantum field, so to speak. So then he gave an example of the tumor. The tumor's growing, and in 24 hours it's gone. It can just go instantaneously the moment you put new focus and attention on it. And then track 3, yeah. Then the next question somebody asked was how are car accidents, plane accidents created? How does that happen? As it's a collective thing. It's not just you in the plane or the car, but you get into the same accident as other people that are around you at the time. So how does that happen?
They're a part of vibration, so they might not be vibrating car crash, plane crash, but they're vibrating. In the last few weeks, have they vibrated fear, anger, or disappointment, or probably fear of death, and then they get into a car crash. How did you feel? It was a fear of death, or a fear of some hurt or something. I think he's out of the plane. Every single person on that plane had a similar vibration to the not a similar vibration, but contributed on the vibration to have the plane crash.
Yes, that's right. That's why these things happen collectively.
Yeah, whatever feeling. So a really good vibration and feeling to put out is one of gratitude, right? Feeling so blessed, or even lucky. I'm so lucky. So all of a sudden, situations, experiences, events will occur to make you feel more lucky. And then he says, ding dong, I won the lottery. I can't believe how lucky I feel. So my question to the group is, has anyone experienced this, when you started, and what did you observe when you started doing lucky affirmations or feeling so grateful and blessed?
Oscar's the main man for this. This is Oscar's punch.
Yeah, gratitude.
Yeah, I'm translating to him.
Yeah.
¿Lo estás leyendo?
Sí.
Que estaba preguntando Kashmeer que cómo nos hemos sentido cuando hemos empezado a hacer afirmaciones y temas de gratitud y todo por escrito, tal, y Jamie te ha señalado a ti como que este es tu puño.
Te sientes, yo creo que en la mejor versión de ti mismo, entonces pues todo sucede. Si dejas que todo suceda, pues tienes lo mejor, eligiendo el sentimiento.
Yeah, that he feels like he's the best version of himself, and when you're in that kind of version of yourself and you let things happen, then everything is perfect.
Yes.
Put out the vibration and everything comes to you.
Yeah. So your experiences, yeah. So Kevin says and confirms the wise truth that anything that happens in your life isn't really good or bad, right? Positive or negative. They're just events and circumstances and experiences. So nothing's really good or bad. They're just indicators of what you are vibrating. So if there is something that we don't particularly like in our life, that's just an indicator that our vibration needs to be changed, right? So the example is like Kevin gives the example of stubbing your toe. Like you don't need to get analytical and think about like how and why did I stub my toe? Like what thoughts was I having? Because really it's just an indicator that you're emanating some feeling like annoyance or feeling clumsy all the time, right? And they start off small until you change your vibration. So we have to be thankful for these indicators before it snowballs into an even bigger problem, right? So if something bad happens, it's good to be aware that everything is going to be perfect and everything is always working out for us, even though you can't comprehend at the time or give any rational reason as to like why that's a good scenario.
And I think sometimes when you're on your journey and you think you're vibrating good and something bad happens, it could be that thing happened because it's going to lead you to something better. So, you know, sometimes what we see as bad and we label as bad is not always bad. It's actually can skyrocket you to something greater than what you thought you were going to be heading towards. And sometimes we might be able to experience that in our own lives. You know, sometimes something bad happened in your life and you look back now and say, actually, that was the best thing that ever happened to me because I wouldn't be here now doing what I'm doing. If that
I have a great example of it when I was preparing for the World Championships 18 months ago, and all my friends on the main tour on the professional circuit, I was begging them and asking them for a game to like spar with each other in practice, and it was no, and my head was like, and I was 3 months into reading books properly every single day in COVID and completely studying this, and I got in touch with you, Kashmeer, I think it was about a year ago, and every single professional said no, and I said, right, that's it. And I had £1,000 I paid to a chef for me, where I went and played with all the best players in the world in a hotel. I ate any food I want every night, and it transformed my game. I got to the quarterfinal of the World Championship. Wow. And the day I told you, Kashmeer, I was dancing around the room about money, and I didn't even have it. I had, I think, £30 or £40, and I was dancing around the room, so I had won £50,000 and everything. And I think it was 3 months later when I got to the quarterfinal, and I looked back thinking, that's interesting. that's why nobody wanted to play snooker with me, because I was putting up this vibration, but I wasn't smart enough to know what was coming. All these situations started coming in. Oh. So I don't know if that made any sense, but that was something that really, really, really changed my outlook on life and that particular example.
That's a great example, Jamie. Yeah, definitely. And
and then he gives the man in China example as well to demonstrate this concept of how you think something bad, you know, you think this was a seemingly bad experience, but in fact, obviously, as we know, it worked out so much better. So that's the classic example. So now let's go on to what we see with our eyes. So everything we see is made up of the same stuff, which is atoms. So when you look closely at an electron, it's just a vibration. So how does a seed turn into a heavy plant and there is no change in the soil? Well, it manifests from energy because everything is just energy, right? So then for some, this technique is easy. Some, it's harder. Why?
So this technique, you know, everything that we're doing, this, you know, what Kevin Trudeau is teaching, why is it some people manifest much easier than other people? You know, some people say, I've been doing this work for years and I can, you know, I'm finding it difficult to manifest, and someone else, and you see even on YouTube, there's some people that are like, oh yeah, I manifested this and that, and the house and the car and the blah, blah, blah. And other people, like, they say, well, I've been doing it.
Section, they're like, I've been doing it like for ages, but I'm just not getting anything I want.
Yeah.
Is it basically that some people are just lucky with the DNA structure, and some people are just built for attracting wealth or built for attracting poverty? Some people have to, like myself, who was brought up with not much, but having to physically, mentally apply the technique rather than have it already given to them subconsciously, but they're still using the same material, but they've been not given it, but they've been sort of given it in certain ways. Is that a fair way to put it?
Yeah, that is, definitely. You've touched upon some important points. It can be someone's upbringing. It could be some people just carry more luggage with them. You know, past programming. They have to, there's more to work through. And other people, they might have. I had a lady in my business networking a couple of years ago, and I remember she made a lot of money, and she said she remembers one thing when she was young, that her dad always used to drum into her that you're wealthy, you're abundant, you know, and used to say statements like that. So
brainwashing.
Brainwashing, good brainwashing, you know. So, and you know, some people grow up in poverty, but they make it. Oh, yeah. Is Oscar saying something?
I think two factor principal. One, el momento del nacimiento por los astros.
Number one, like for him is number one the moment you are born, but because of the, how do you say, the stars, you know, the position of the stars.
Sí, y el otro es la carga ancestral que se ve representada en los genes, en la genética.
And the other one, the ancestral, ¿cómo se dice? Carga. The ancestral, the ancestral baggage you have in your DNA, like similar what Jamie said.
Yeah, and that's it, and that's also what Jamie touched upon, the DNA part. So it's all your ancestral baggage that you've carried, and when you think about it, you think, God, then am I carrying lots of ancestral stuff? Is it almost impossible for me to
have what I want, desire,
have what I want? But what do you think about that? Is it impossible?
I personally, from my perspective, with my mum, she was always, everyone has a story, never had enough. In The Secret, they touched upon, I think the lady, the blonde lady said, we never had enough, never had anything for you, you can't afford that, blah, 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 blah. But then if you switch it around and you like enrich dad, poor dad, it's how can you afford it? How can you do it? You can't, like, you just switch the phrase around where I can't afford that is different to how can I afford that? So when with my situation, when I want something now, I go, well, I can't have that. But instantly I go, well, how can I afford that? Or how can I do this? Or how can I do that? Because he's doing it, and I'm cleverer than him, and he's worse than me or better than me or whatever it is. My mum and stepdad sort of brought me up in a very poverty-stricken way, so that turned me entirely into snooker, on the obsession, same old stuff, obsession of mastering this game of snooker, and then it just completely pushed, but a poverty mentality on my mum's side.
Oh, yeah.
Which then swung me mentally differently to, well, no. Then I associate myself with the correct people in the snooker world, and who do you listen to? And there's a guy who's just won a tournament, and he's a really good friend of mine, and he was drinking afterwards, and I had a chat with him, and he said, I have one very important thing to say to you, Jimmy. I said, yeah, go on. And he said, if there's anything in life you need to do is listen to the right people. And I just started laughing my head off. I started laughing, thinking, he's just won a tournament, and I think he won £100,000. I lost in the quarterfinal of the same tournament, and it changed his life. And he was saying, if you listen to the correct people, in my friends, I've got the least money, because all of his friends are millionaires, but they're good people. There's nothing else you don't learn is listen to the right people. And I'm like laughing to myself again about you're using the technique, mate.
Yes, yeah.
So I have one question here. So if like your power of manifestation depends, like, I don't know how much on your stars, publication and everything, that means, I mean, you can always change that, but maybe what does it mean that you have to work more than the people that already born with that stars alignment?
That's what my thinking
Yeah,
is.
I think
Yeah.
so. I mean, this is, I'm not saying this is the right answer, but I actually believe that yes, there are some people that have to work harder with manifestation than
Conscious
others.
competence.
Other people, their belief levels are so
Really
high,
high,
there's
yeah.
no blockage on
Abundance.
abundance. So even if they don't start off abundant, they just by just doing this practice, they're like, yeah, of course,
Money
I'm
comes
abundant.
easily,
Money comes easily.
They're like stupid kids, Neil, and Kevin said himself he was just stupid. He was a stupid, dumb kid who believed it, but he believed the correct way.
Yes, but believe the correct stuff.
Yeah.
The right stuff. So I think some people's belief levels are so high that they don't have to work hard at this because they already believe it straight away. And other people have got too many doubts and worries and things from programming from the past and
Negative.
maybe the stars as well, astrology coming into it as well. So but I believe, like when I read Happy Pocket Full of Money, the author David Gikandi said that nobody's exempt from this to obtain wealth consciousness. No one, even the homeless person on the street. So when you read that book, it's simple, but it just drums in that we can all do it. It raises your level of belief. It's just exposing yourself to this kind of material, Katie's teachings, Happy Pocket, any other inspiring teachers, and anything that can inspire you and actually raise your belief level that I can do this. It's like when Kevin shares with us any stories about things that happen, like magical things, manifestations. It suddenly you just feel like, oh my gosh, I believe this. I believe I can do it too, and even Oscar. Oh, Oscar's got his pen up.
No, que me gustaría añadir, Armand, que todo es perfecto, porque si esas personas tuvieran ese poder, seguramente morirían pronto por su calidad de pensamientos.
Okay. Oscar is saying that everything is perfect, and ¿y luego qué has dicho? Que si todo el mundo...
Porque si esas personas tuvieran el poder de crear tan rápido y tan bien, morirían pronto porque la calidad de sus pensamientos es pésima, o sea, es cero.
Vale, espera un momento, poco a poco. He's saying that if those people have such a power of manifestation, they would die quicker. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué sus pensamientos?
Porque sus pensamientos son pésimos, entonces morirían pronto porque se autodestruirían rápido.
They would die quicker because their thoughts, their mental attitude is bad, so they would die faster. I don't know if I translate.
If thoughts can do that to water, what can that do to us?
Yeah.
Oh,
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
And that really hit a bell with me. And what the bleep do we know? When they said if thoughts can do that to water and affect water and affect physical matter, imagine what it's doing to your own body.
Yeah.
And I think it's in The Magic of Believing when he says 75% of people in hospital are put there in their thoughts. I think it was The Magic of Believing. 75% of people are put there in their thoughts in the hospital.
Oh, was it The Magic of Believing? I'm just trying to.
I think it's in The Magic of Believing. I'll have to double check that, but I know in the What the Bleep Do We Know, what Oscar just mentioned now is that thoughts can affect the physical body a lot, and obviously affecting physical matter and everybody else and everything in the universe. And I think it was 75% of populations put there because of their own thoughts, and there's other people who put there by their and out to hospital because of their thoughts, like the guy in The Secret with the airplane, and he saw himself, he saw his 2 feet walking in front of him, and he got out.
Yes, yeah. So then, Amon, why is Oscar saying that?
Yeah, I think, Oscar, could you, mira, me lo escribes y I'm going to ask him to type it to me and I translate it.
Ok.
I know
No, pero seguir.
Yeah, go on, and then we will translate it.
Sure. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, because I know that obviously, Dr. Joe Dispenza explores this a lot about thoughts and how they create disease, but your thoughts can also reverse disease as well, and how it's linked to your genes. So your thoughts play a powerful part in your physical body as well, and your thoughts and your feelings, So negative feelings and thoughts cause dis-ease in the body, disease, and positive or high vibrational thoughts and feelings can help the body to heal. So and there's been loads of spontaneous healings in doing his work. So we've seen it with our own eyes as well, people being healed. So what's the next thing that you were going to talk about? It was yes, so we were talking about why some people have to work harder, and the other point was that some people have which ties into what we were talking about anyway, was that some people have a greater negative ball of energy than others, and some people's positive ball of energy is more than the negative. So if your negative ball of energy is so big, even when you try and think positive, you get pulled back to the negative thinking very quickly because you're wired that way. And we probably all know somebody in our lives who's just so negative.
Easy for them to be
anything that
negative,
comes out their mouth, if you just even ask them, how are you today? Oh, awful,
terrible,
everything's going
awful.
well and terrible, and this
We all
happened.
know one. We all know one.
Yeah, we all know one. So and because we're doing this work, it makes us even more aware of it when we notice other people being so negative. It's
more sensitive to
we're
it.
more sensitive.
I had a funny game. I had a funny game with my partner and with my mum. I said, "How amazing is this? Everything's good. That's good. That's good. We're all healthy. We're going to a restaurant today." Yeah, but Jamie, but it was always played this game. Me and my fiance played this game, and it was like, "Yeah, but Jamie, but what about you?" I'm like, just laughing.
Yeah, and some people are 100% negative all the time, and so they have to practice the positive thoughts more and harder. They have to work harder at it, and they have to practice it over and over again just to even get to the zero balance of negative and positive before they can even get to the positive part of this.
Like Kevin said about losing weight, you need to lose like £50 first and start building your muscle, because you need to get rid of the fat first, and then you can build. I think he says this somewhere to back where you set up,
Oh, does he?
So if somebody goes to the gym, I think, and they're overweight, they need to get to a certain level, then they can start building muscle or what have you.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, that's it. You have to get to that point before the tipping point. Yes.
The tipping point. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the solution when when you're having this bigger negative ball of energy? What can we do? Well, we practice a technique on what you believe that you can achieve. Like I think he gave an example in one of these other audios. He said, like practice just working on manifesting a cup of coffee, for example. Something
to up your belief level, isn't it? I think
so. And
sweet spot.
Something that's in your sweet spot. So for those who are very negative, they even find it hard to do that, just to even do something small, or a parking space or something like that. So then what do you do then if you can't even work on something small? Is that you then have to train your brain to think positively by looking at listening to audios, looking at videos, reading books, associating with people who are more positive minded, and then until that negative ball of energy starts to shrink and that positive ball expands. And really what you want is the positive to be greater than your negative, and that's when you get to that tipping point. And this tipping point is different for everyone. For some people, they don't have to work too hard to get to that point, and other people have to work much harder if they're 100% negative. And then of course there's another technique which we all know about, Callahan technique, and that also helps to blow out negative.
That served me wonders, as.
Yeah, I think do you all use the Callahan technique? Does Oscar, do you use it? Callahan tapping? Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Mark, you do. Yes.
Yes. ¿Puedes traducir, Armand?
Sí, sí, sí.
Que al principio lo hacía todos los días, incluso soñando, y de vez en cuando también lo sigo haciendo.
That he used to do it every day, even when he was dreaming, and now not that much, but he keeps doing it.
Muchas veces estaba soñando y me sentía mal soñando, detectaba que me estaba sintiendo mal soñando y me lo hacía imaginariamente, soñando.
Really? He's saying that sometimes while he was dreaming, he was noticing in that dream that he was feeling bad, and in the dream itself, he was doing tapping.
Oh my
Can you say that again,
God.
Armin? It
Wow.
lost a connection.
Oh, you lost the connection.
Yeah, Oscar is saying that he was doing tapping also in the dream itself. So
Wow.
in the dream, he realized he was feeling bad, and then in the dream he trained himself to do
Wow.
tapping.
Yeah,
Amazing.
that's
Amazing.
That's amazing, you know. And did Oscar write in the chat?
That could be level 15, 16, 20.
Yeah. I put that text. Did you see that?
Yeah,
oh.
it popped up.
Oh, hold on.
Read it.
Pop up.
Oh, okay, I was saying that everything is perfect because if all people had the gift to create quickly, they would destroy themselves because they would create so many disasters that would end their lives very quickly. It would be like giving a Ferrari to a person who just got his license.
Wow.
Yes, he would not know how to drive it and it would crash. Absolutely, you're so right. That's such
No
cognition. Yeah, that's a really interesting
foundation.
way to look at things. Yeah, because it's true. It's like you know that saying, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, so if you had too much power,
Yeah, not what you get, it's the person you become.
Sorry?
It's not what you get, it's the person you become.
It's the person you become.
it's a
Yes,
journey,
yeah, it's the journey. It's not like just manifesting things with a click of your fingers. And having that power, because that can be destructive. Yes.
You should qualify for something like this.
Yeah.
So you need to be ready to receive, you know, so you can use this gift.
If I lost everything now in my career with snooker and say trading, I'd know what to do to get it back, because you've got all the foundation. If you would give somebody a professional ticket, they wouldn't know what to do because they haven't gone through what you need to go through. It's like if somebody loses their business, they've got the same contacts, they've got the same foundation, they know how to build it back up.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. You've got that foundation that you worked on. So as we know, law of attraction works 24/7. It's always working, whether you like it or not. The law of cause and effect is always operating. So there's no such thing as an accident or coincidence. The amount of people that say, you know, when things work out for you and people say, oh, that was such a coincidence. You know, or you were just lucky.
Coincidence.
Yeah, you were just lucky. So we are actually causing, we are the first cause. We're causing an experience 24/7 because we are vibrating 24/7. We don't stop. So we can choose to focus on something specifically to make us feel good. So we create everything. So if we create everything and we cause everything, then surely we should be taking 100% responsibility for everything that happens in our life. And this is one of the hardest things for people to do, because when something bad happens to them, it is much easier to blame something outside of us, to say it was their fault. When sometimes it looks like it is, you know, because you might get into a business deal with someone, that person completely turned on you. And it's very easy to say it was that person's fault because they clearly did something bad. But actually, it's taking 100% responsibility because you were part of that. You created that or co-created it. And so when you take 100% responsibility, what does that help you do? It helps to empower you. Empowers you greatly, and even when it's difficult, even during those difficult times. So what's the number one disease of the mind?
Excusitis. No?
Well, that's a good one.
I don't know.
That is a good one, because that would be one. Well, Kevin Trudeau in this audio, he says mysticism.
Mysticism.
Yeah. So mysticism.
Or excusitis.
Or excusitis. Yeah, and they kind of tie in both of them, because mysticism is when you're blaming something outside of you.
Yes.
for what happens to you. So you're not taking 100% responsibility.
My friend, one of my good friends, is he works in a dog's kennels and has for 10 years, and he is one of the greatest salesmen and the funniest person I've ever met in my life. And he out certain things. He wants to do this. He wants to do this. 2 days later, I had every single excuse why he couldn't. I had mysticism. It's his fault. It's his fault. It's her fault. I can't because she won't let me. He said that, yeah, but how? How would you start? How would you start a business? And I was just like, oh my God, it's a disease. It's a genuine disease. I was scared. I was like, Tom, don't you realize what you're doing? You know, like, he's a brilliant tiler. He wanted to tile floors and bathrooms. He was making a lot of money. And I said, why don't you start your own business and do that? He said, yeah, I'm going to buy a van. I'm going to do this and do this, and just never ever, because of everything else that happened to him, not him. Nothing was his fault, and I was sad.
Yeah.
And you can't. I can't tell him because I can influence him, but I can't tell him. I've tried to tell him, and it only ends one way.
Yeah. And this is what keeps people stuck, because it's always somebody else's fault or blaming something else, so you don't move forward in your life. So mysticism is the biggest disease of the mind, according to Katie. So remember, and the other point is, remember, feelings are your guidance system. It detects whether you have positive or negative thoughts. So he just puts that into this track 6. So what's the number 1 senior goal of all of this? Everything we've been talking about.
Where does the
Oscar?
rubber meet the road?
¿Cuál es el objetivo número 1 de todos? Por favor, di sentirnos mal ahora.
Sí, sentirnos bien, por supuesto.
Feeling good.
Yeah.
Feeling bad right now.
Y cada vez sentirnos un poco mejor.
And keep feeling better.
And keep feeling better.
feel better.
Keep moving up that emotional guidance scale. You know, and this is quite interesting as well, that some people actually feel good being negative.
Yes.
Mhm.
But remember that the words don't matter, it's the feeling associated with it. So somebody might be complaining all the time and being
Moaning, bitching, whining.
whining,
Right.
but deep
Making
down
fun.
inside, they are feeling so
Laughing.
good. They're laughing inside. So
I know a few people like this.
yeah. So these are just words.
Words are irrelevant.
But what if, this was a question I was thinking about, but then the answer did come to me afterwards, is that what if someone does something not so good to feel
What? Can you repeat? Sorry.
yeah, what if someone does something that's not that good to feel better? Like, that's not that good for them. So it could be like drugs, or they might hurt somebody, they might do something mean to someone because they think that will help them to feel better.
Yeah.
Or they might overspend, or they might overeat.
That's the mask. I think that's the mask. They're just masking the pain.
Yeah.
It's like having a bottle of scotch. If we all drank a bottle of scotch or a bottle of vodka, it would feel good. But then tomorrow or in a few hours, you wouldn't feel good. So you're just masking the pain. If you're happy and have a beer or wine or vodka and you're happy, don't do it because you're trying to escape. Like so the example I give my friend Tom, he'll have a bottle of wine. I'll have a bottle of wine or glass of wine or whatever, but really enjoy it. I will. But he'll go bum, 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 because he's trying to escape and mask his pain, and then feels double as bad afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
And people do that with drugs. They do it even with food. You know, a lot of people stuff down their feelings with food because it temporarily makes them feel better,
Yeah.
and then they're back to feeling awful again.
Yeah.
So
That happens to me when I feel bad. I have a tendency to eat chocolate, a lot of chocolate. I'm like a girl.
yeah, and you know what? I think we all do it to a certain extent. I notice sometimes when I eat, and I'm eating because I'm bored or I don't feel inspired, you know. And sometimes I'll just eat something, and I'm like, I'm actually not hungry. Why am I eating this? It's because of some other reason that I haven't addressed. So the other thing I was thinking about is, you know, some people hurt other people. They might say hurtful things or do something bad because they think that's going to make them feel good. But actually, they're doing it because they're hurting and they're masking that hurt
Yeah.
So what happens in the law of giving that I was reading in Happy Pocket is that what you give out to someone comes back to you multiplied. So you will, if you intentionally, if you go out and hurt somebody, then that will come back to you multiplied. So it's such an important thing, and vice versa. If you do something good, give someone a compliment, or the law of giving,
Without fail.
multiplied, you'll get it back. Yeah. So the focus is not really to eliminate the pain, because that's what people do when they're taking drugs or overeating. The focus is actually, because if you do that, I want to eliminate the pain. I want to eliminate the pain. I want to get rid of the pain. Where's the focus really? It goes
Pain.
and that's what your vibration is. So rather than saying, I don't want to eliminate the pain, it's like, I want to feel good. So switch it around and say, I want to feel good. From that place, you'll make better choices. What can I do to make myself feel good, rather than I need to get rid of this pain? And if you felt bad 10 minutes later, it means that you're just masking the pain. So if it didn't eliminate the pain, whatever you did, it's just because it's not that's not the solution. So the focus is, like we said before, is just feeling a little bit better on that emotional scale. So bliss being at the top, depression and fear, shame, guilt, all those emotions are right at the bottom. So anger is better than depression, because when you're depressed, think about it. I know, like, some of my patients have been depressed and they don't want to get out of bed. They don't want to move. They don't want to do anything. But when you're angry, there's a bit more movement in the body. You might get up and you might shout and you might say something. So that's actually better. The energy is moving faster.
Anger is very, very good channeled correctly.
Yes. So you're just slightly moving up that scale. And that saying of go as far as you can see, and when you get there, you'll see further. That applies to that emotional scale as well. Go as far as you can get to, and when you get there, you work on feeling that little bit better each time. And sometimes I know that there's sometimes I've had days where I would feel really low, right? Something might have happened, or
Everyone does.
Yeah, everyone does. And like, if somebody just said, "Oh, just be positive and be happy,"
Impossible.
I'd want to like slap them.
You've got to go from depressed to angry, ain't you?
Yeah.
If I'm having a really bad day, I'll go for a long 2-hour walk, and I always feel better coming back, because I've seen different things. I might have talked to somebody, but then I'll go, right, okay, try and get to irritated. And if I can get to irritated, really agitated, I'll just try and get to content. Because if I try and go to, but I would have stayed depressed if I'd have stayed there. Or I'll go to the gym, or I'll go play snooker, or go and see a friend, or go for lunch, or go and have a beer, or do something where it's just a little bit. You can't go from depressed to bliss. It's a stupid jump.
You just can't.
Contentment is the goal for me then on those days. So if I get to go, everything's great. Because you can't get to bliss. But years ago, I would have just been depressed all day. If I was 13, 14, it would have just been the end of my week. I would have just stayed there.
Yeah, I was the same. You stay there longer. So the key thing is your refractory period. How long do you want to stay there for? And if you have awareness that this is how I'm feeling, then you move up that scale quicker. Whereas if you don't do anything about it and you just wallow in your depression or whatever negative emotion it is, you will stay there much longer. So the key thing is it's not about not ever feeling these emotions. Of course we're going to feel them, but it's just how long.
Kevin says you will feel bad at some point. So you need to know what happens. For me, I'd say 6 days of the week I wake up unhappy straight away in the morning. I'm unhappy straight away. So I go, okay, and I go through every single thing I'm grateful for. I do some tapping, and I'm going to shower really badly, but I get out of the shower, I'm like, oh, everything's good. But because years ago I would have stayed there, because I've been brought up in an environment where my mum was very depressed and suicidal and everything. I don't know if this is an excuse or something it's been built into me, where I wake up unhappy because something used to happen bad every morning. So I don't know if it's an excuse or it's something I've learned to do really well, where I deal with it and I'm then happy for the day. So I don't know if that's good or bad. I think it's good because I've learned the techniques. I'm applying the technique, as you said earlier, about the DNA structure. My dad bounces out of bed and he's happy all day, all the time. because he's got certain things happening. With me, I got to put it into context and go, right, boom, I know where I am now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
For me, that could be good or bad, but it works for me on a happiness level.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's
Nice.
good. So you want to help, let's say you want to, right, when I first found this knowledge with KT stuff, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I want to share it with everyone, you know? So you want to share this knowledge with everyone, and you want to help everyone. But what can you do? What's the best way to,
What's the best way
what's
to
the
help
way
someone?
to help someone?
By making an example of yourself first.
Yes.
That's why that was in my head, when I said about my friend Tom, really good friend. I was saying, do this, and make sure you hang around with the right people, and make sure you teach people high. Right, because I was manifesting all these things. He used to call me Mr. Manifester, and I was like, I do this and then do. Okay, and then the next day, go and look, and I'd be like, okay, if you want.
Yes.
And then he'd say every example of why it's not happening, and there's excuse-itis. It was the failure disease. It was the how, and I'm like trying to tell him it's off his radar screen and forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Forget it. Exactly.
Forget it.
So
It just
key thing, work on yourself, work on, your vibration, because your vibration will ultimately affect others as well. So if you raise your vibration, other people will feel that too. The friends that you used to have will start vanishing or distancing themselves, and you get new friends. And your vibration, as you change your vibration, you start attracting different people, and as you know, different circumstances and situations in your life. And I'm sure we might have all experienced this. I know that my friends from who I have now in my life to what I had before, completely.
Yeah.
I've only got
unbelievably
it's crazy. Yeah, I've only got one friend
different.
20 years that's still in my life, because we share a lot of history, but we don't. But
Yeah, I get it already. You don't quite gel because
yeah,
they're not
don't
on the
quite
same
gel,
wavelength.
yeah. So we
Got
do still meet up, but now it's once every 3 months instead of every month or something, and then all my other friends have completely changed, and that's the same with you as well. Kashmeer.
For me,
So,
I can honestly hugely vouch for that.
yeah. And so
Because it's sorry to interrupt. I can't be with somebody like me. It's like just on a vibrational level, where my friend Tom I mentioned, I just moved out of his vibration, and he just lost the plot one night and started arguing and whatever, and I was like, Tom, just calm down. He just couldn't handle the vibration I was in at all, and he says people, they just can't handle it. He says, I think he's in this CD or the 12th, people just can't handle the vibration you're in, and they just fall out of your life.
Yeah.
Naturally, good.
yeah, that's it. Naturally, that's it. So what if you're surrounded by lots of negative people or negative energy? What happens then?
Change your environment. Or there are like two choices here, no? Because I don't know if your vibration is super positive, you should repel, that people, no? But on the other side, you could be dragged, no, by those people, maybe.
Those people, yes.
So you're watching this going, I'm going to need new friends. Guess what? You're right.
That makes sense. So yeah, and then Kevin was saying that actually one positive thought is stronger than 10,000 negative thoughts. That was quite interesting. So
Okay.
if you were extremely vibrating high, like Aman said, you could repel those people, or you help raise other people's vibration because your vibration is really high. And also you can also choose not to participate in what goes on around you. Don't engage in it, don't get into it. It's the same with mass consciousness. When there's mass collective thoughts, you can either join them, or you can actually say, no, I'm going to choose to have my own thoughts, and create my reality, not the reality that everyone else is creating.
Yeah.
I just chose not to, what did he say? I just chose not to participate.
Yeah,
That's it. In the recession.
On the crisis.
This is why loads of people made money during the Depression, when it was a really difficult time. And this is why, when the attitude's right, the facts don't count. It doesn't matter what's going on around you. So whatever the scenario, all we have to do is believe and vibrationally feel that it's a fantastic time to do business or to do this and that. You know, never think that, okay, the circumstances outside aren't right, so I can't do this, because that's irrelevant. If you hold into that vibration, that belief, then you can, even during bad times, you know, when the economy is down, you can still thrive, you know, and there's companies that have shown that they have done that. So it's definite, you know, there's evidence, there's proof of that.
Yeah, there's a sorry, you know, I don't know if you've read that example in your Ywiyc command, or I mean, you listen to the car offer, you know, about, you know, this example, you know, yeah, the best moment is to buy the car the first week, you know, the Mercedes, and then in the middle of the month, no, this is the best time because now we've sold 50% of the
They're all
cars.
right, mate. They're all right.
Every time is the best time.
Every time is the best time.
Every time.
That's it. But if you believe, remember Henry Ford saying, if you believe you can or you believe you can't, either way you're right. It's the thinking that makes it so. So in the later statement, he added, because the evidence will validate it. You know, I think we're coming up to the end of track 8, which is perfect. So almost coming up to 5 o'clock.
Yes, we managed to finish.
So Kashmeer will just finish off the last bit of this CD 13.
Yeah, so Kevin goes on to say, you know, every negative experience that comes into your life primarily is there to help you clarify what you do want. So use what you don't want by acknowledging it first, and then define what you do want. You know, so this contrast-based universe we live in is serving us to the best advantage ever, because this is what's launching us, you know, rockets of desire. So a lot of times I've had something I didn't want, and then you felt the negative effects of it, then you're like, this is what I do want. You just clearly define what you do want. So, you know, these negative experiences are to embrace, basically. That's what Kevin's saying ultimately. And so what appears to be negative generally isn't so. So that's the great thing about it. So we've already come to the end of CD 13, and actually this ends the Your Wishes Command series.
Voila! Now we are going to start all over again.
Yes.
Well, you know,
Vamos a empezar de nuevo.
There's also
The rest of level.
Wishes Your Command level 1 part
Success
2,
Mastery course, yeah.
part 3.
Yeah, we have to go to the Success Mastery course.
Yeah, there's a lot just in level 1, you know, so it's huge. But no, this is perfect timing, because
it's 5 minutes before Kevin.
How did we do this? Because sometimes we go a little bit over, so this is perfect. So what I will do is, when Kevin comes on, we'll just welcome him in, and I don't know if we should do introductions, or should we just welcome him in, and then when you ask questions, you can just say, hi, I'm Jamie. You know,
you can introduce yourselves.
And what we'll do is, it'll be like a question.
I am Jamie, and I love you.
Bow down.
I was actually going to do that.
But also, I want Kevin to not only answer our questions, but just expand on things. And doesn't matter if he diverts a little bit from the question, because he's got so much to share.
Exactly. Yeah.
So whatever comes, it's just
2 years and 1 month. 2 years.
Let him speak. I think he will speak for a long time.
Yes, that's it. So you know, of course, we want him to do most of the talking. So but if you've got any,
I wonder if you'll tell us who was the one person at the level 1 in Austria in the Alps, I think it was.
Oh, in the Alps.
You can ask that question.
You can ask that question.
Yeah, you haven't been done.
Just
Yeah, I'd love to know who's there.
Yeah, even if you can just reveal one person.
That'll be fine.
Yeah.
Armand, avísalas de que siguen grabando, por si acaso se han olvidado.
Yeah. I was going to say that you're still recording in case you forgot.
So we're going to turn the recording off. Oh gosh, yeah, we did. We're supposed to turn that off.
Okay, thanks everybody.